Okay, reported speech. We're going to review reported speech. Now, for example, you have Carboni who says, I like playing video games. Henry hears that. Henry goes and tells Tommy, hey, Carboni said that he liked playing video games. There's an example of reported speech. Somebody says something, somebody else hears it, and then that person goes and tells somebody else. When we report speech, there are some rules to it, right? For example, if you say something in present simple, it has to be reported in past simple. If you say something in present continuous, it has to be reported in past continuous. If you say something in present perfect, to past perfect, past simple to past perfect, right? Will to would, etc. You can pause the video and look at this, right? This is a chart of how we backshift. Let's do this together. Reported speech, you have somebody who says, or in direct speech, somebody says, I want to open up a new business in Surco. When we report it, you would say it like this. He said that he wanted to open up a new business in Surco. So we have present simple to past simple, correct? Here it says, we are never going to be rich. So how do we report that? They said, or she said, that they were never going to be rich. We're going from present continuous to past continuous. Now, since this is a future tense, you can also report it as though you had said will. We will never be rich. She said that they would never be rich. Since be, going to, and will are identical in future, as what I mean is they're both future tenses. You can report either one of them in two different ways. So he will talk to her later can be reported by he said that he would talk to her later, will to would. You can also say he said that he was going to talk to her later because be going to and will are basically the same. He is going to talk to her later. You can report that by saying he said that he would talk to her later. He said that he was going to talk to her later. Because be going to and will are basically identical when it comes to reported speech. They're both future tenses, right? Here we have a future tense. I will speak with Jake tomorrow. So when you report it, you would say, he said that he would speak with Jake tomorrow. Or he told me that he was going to speak with Jake tomorrow, right? Because will is the same as be going to. Or you can go will to would, right? Will to would. Here we have, I saw many wonderful places in Sweden. And you would report that with, she said that she had seen many wonderful places in Sweden. Because past simple will backshift to past perfect, correct? Next one, I only date English majors. You report that by saying, she said that she only dated English majors. Present simple to past simple, right? If you're going to use tell, like he told, you have to have a noun. He told the girl that he only dated English majors, right? So after told or tell, told or tell, you need a noun, right? That's how it's different to said. Um, they both do the same thing. They report something, but tell needs to be followed by a noun, or told needs to be followed by a noun, or both. Okay. Over here, when it comes to time references, right? Um, you will change the time reference if what you're reporting is being reported on a different day than when the original statement was said. So let's say on July 25th, 2020, 2020, you say, I'll see you tomorrow. And you're reporting that today. Well, tomorrow is no longer July 26th. So you would have to change the time reference. He said that he would see her the next day. Because when you're reporting it today, tomorrow is no longer July 26, 2020. It's a totally different day. So the time reference must change. But let's say you're reporting something on the same day. Then you don't have to change the time reference. You can keep the same time reference, right? I'll see you tomorrow. And then you report that on the same day, later that day. He said that he would see her tomorrow. Tomorrow is still tomorrow if you're reporting the statement on the same day, right? So, but if you're reporting it on a different day, then you change the time reference. For example, here, August 7th, 2019, this person says, I was playing soccer last week. And then you report that today. Well, last week is no longer, August 1st to August 6th. Last week has changed because today is a totally different month and year. So you would have to change the time reference. You'd say, she said that he had been playing soccer the week before. Last week is no longer what last week was on August 7th, right? So if you're reporting something on a different day than the day that something was said, then you change the time reference. But if it's being reported on the same day, then you don't need to change the time reference, right? That's how that works. Okay, some practice. So if somebody says, I have a lot of money, you're gonna report that in past simple. He said that he had a lot of money, right? Here somebody says, we're going to Cusco. You're going to report that from present continuous to past continuous. They said that they were going to Cusco. Somebody says something in present perfect. I have killed many people. You report that in past perfect. He told me that he had killed many people. Past simple. He stole my wallet. You would report that in past perfect. She said that he had stolen her wallet, whoever he may be, right? The thing is, past simple is backshifting to past perfect. With can, well, you're going to backshift to could. You say, I can fly. Then somebody will report that by saying, he said that he could fly, right? And to could, past simple to past perfect, present perfect to past perfect, present continuous to past continuous, present simple to past simple. One more, will. We will divide and conquer. They said that they would divide and conquer, right? So will to would, right? So pause the video at any time and try to do it yourself first, right? Because this will, I'll have some practice examples throughout the video. There you have a chart. Here you have another chart, right? Now we're gonna get into reported questions. Okay, before we get into reported questions, there are basically three different kinds of questions. Obviously, there are more different kinds of questions. You have like direct questions, indirect questions, all of that, tag questions. But no, here we're just focusing on three questions. They are yes or no questions, object questions, and subject questions. Why is this important? Because when you report something, when you report a question, depending on what kind of question you are reporting, it's going to change the way you report it or the rules of reporting that question. First of all, yes or no question. Do you have any friends from England? The answer is yes or no. That's a yes or no question. Object question. Where did you eat dinner? The answer is in the object. That's why it's called an object question. So you could answer that by saying, I ate dinner at Wendy's. I is the subject. Ate is the verb. Dinner at Wendy's is the object. So since the answer is always in the object, that's what we call an object question. We can say dinner at Wendy's is the object, right? Even though dinner might just be the object. But we'll just say this whole phrase is the object phrase, right? Well, the answer is in the object. Then we have subject questions, right? The answer is in the subject. If somebody asks, who is your president? You respond by saying, maybe, if you're Peruvian, Martin Vizcarra is my president. Martin Vizcarra is the subject, is the verb, my president is the object phrase, right? So the answer is in the subject, and that's why it's called a subject question. So if you have a yes or no question, an object question, or a subject question, they all have slight differences when it comes to reporting those three kinds of questions. Skip all of this, right? Let's practice. Excuse me, is your name Barbara? Well, this is a yes or no question because the answer is going to be yes or no or maybe, right? How do we report this? He asked her if her name was Barbara, right? So what do we notice about the reported question? Specifically, a reported yes or no question. What happens when you report it? Um, well, you use if it's a yes or no question. That's mandatory. You have to use if you're reporting a yes or no question. I think you can also use whether, but whether has limitations. So just if you want to play it safe, just use if. You can always use if. So yes or no question, use if, and also the word order changes. What does that mean? Um, Notice that here it's question order. Question order is verb subject or verb subject verb. You're starting with the verb. But when you report it, it goes down to sentence order. It's subject verb, right? Here it says, is your name Barbara? So is the verb, your name is the subject. When you go and report it, we have her name subject first and was verb, right? So the word order changes from verb subject to subject verb. Also notice that we are still backshifting. Present simple is becomes past simple was, right? And you have to use if. So 3 rules. You use if, the word order changes, and you have to backshift, right? You always have to backshift. Or it's always correct to backshift, at least, right? It's always correct to backshift. Okay, here we have another question. What time does the store open on Sundays? Well, this is an object question because the answer would be something like the store opens at 7 o'clock. So at 7 o'clock, we can call that the object. We'll just call that the object, right? How do we report this? She asked him what time the store opened on Sundays. What do you notice about the reported question? Well, we notice that the auxiliary do is eliminated. So if you have the auxiliary do in the original question, you have to eliminate it in the reported question, right? Also notice the word order changes, just like in the other example. The store open, right? Or does the store open? That's verb, subject, verb. Verb, subject, verb. When you report it, it becomes subject verb, right? She asked him what time the store opened. So the store subject, open verb, right? It switches position from does the store open to store opened. I mean, it goes from verb, subject, verb in this case to subject verb. All right, also notice we are still backshifting. We go from present simple to past simple. Open becomes opened, right? All right, so if we have a yes or no question, we have to use if, right? If it's an object question and you have the auxiliary do in the question, you have to eliminate that auxiliary. You have to drop the auxiliary. Remember that in both you backshift and in both the word order changes, in both a yes or no question and an object question. Moving on, let's practice. You can always pause the video and try to do it yourself first. And then we're going to check, obviously, after you pause the video. But here's the first question. Where is my car? You would report this by saying, he asked me where his car was. That's one way of doing it. Right? It all depends on who was being asked and stuff, but we'll just do one example that's correct. Where's my car? Oh, he asked me where his car was, right? So notice that present simple is being backshifted to past simple. Is becomes was, right? Also notice the word order is changing from verb to subject to verb. Next one, where are my keys? Well, you might report it by saying, she asked me where her keys were, right? Present simple to past simple, are to were, right? Notice here in the question, it's verb subject phrase. And in the reported question, in the original question, it's verb subject. But in the reported question, it's going to be subject verb, right? You're backshifting from present simple to past simple. Next question, who is playing the violin? We'll report that by saying, they asked us who was playing the violin. We are backshifting from present continuous to past continuous, but notice there's no change in word order. Reason being, this is a subject question. In subject questions, you will not change the word order, by the way, but you still have to backshift from, in this case, present continuous is playing to past continuous was playing. In the object questions, you had to change the word order, right? We'll get into that in a moment. We'll talk about that again. The next one is, he asked me the original question is, what did you eat for lunch, right? So how do we report this? He asked me what I had eaten for lunch, right? What happens is did eat, which is past simple, will backshift to had eaten, which is past perfect. So past simple to past perfect. Also notice that this is an auxiliary. I mean specifically the auxiliary do. That's the one that has to be eliminated. If you have the auxiliary do, you eliminate that auxiliary when reporting the question. So notice the word order is verb, subject, verb. And when you report, it's going to be subject, verb. Past simple to past perfect. We have another one that's similar. What do you do for a living? Now, this is an auxiliary, right? The auxiliary do, but the second verb is the main verb, so you're not going to eliminate this one. But you will eliminate the first one because it's the auxiliary do. We are only eliminating specifically the auxiliary do in any of its forms. Do, does, did, doesn't, etc., didn't. So how do we report this? She asked what I did for a living. So we're eliminating the auxiliary do, and we're going from present simple to past simple. Notice that it's verb, subject, verb, and now it's just subject, verb. The word order changes, right? One more. What have you seen on your vacation? How do we report that? We say, they asked us what we had seen on our vacation. So we go from present perfect to past perfect. Notice the word order changes, right? So here it's verb, subject, verb. Now we have subject, verb, right? Subject, verb, the word order changes. Most of these questions were object questions, so the word order is going to change. Only in the subject question does the word order not change, right? Who was playing the violin? They asked us who was playing the violin. There's no change with the subject and the verb. There's no switching it. It stays the same, right? Subject, verb, because it's a subject question. All right. And there you have the changes in tenses, the examples. Pause the video at any time to analyze that, right? Notice that in what is this, the fourth one and the fifth one, the auxiliary do is eliminated in both. Right here in the reported question, you no longer have the auxiliary do. So the auxiliary do needs to be eliminated when you report the question. Next. Okay, so what are the rules when reporting 3 types of questions to the side? Yes or no questions, word order will change, and you have to use if. You can always use if, right? Just use if. It's the better option instead of using whether, which has limitations. Then we have object questions. The answer is in the object, right? And that's an object question. But what happens when you report an object question? The word order will change, and the auxiliary do in all its forms, does, didn't, don't, etc., is eliminated, right? Did, okay. And a subject question, there's no change in word order. Nothing happens in a subject question except that you backshift the verb. The yes or no question and the object question and the subject question and all of these types of questions, you have to backshift the verb, right? Or it's always correct to backshift the verb, right? But only in the yes or no question and in the object question will the word order change in the reported question, right? Just pause the video and look at this if you want to. What do I mean by word order? Let's make it a little more clear. We have the verbs in green, and we have the subjects in pink. So question order is verb subject, or verb subject verb. Sentence order is when you start with the subject. Hopefully I'm saying the word subject. Is subject verb. When you have sentence order, sentence order. Okay, so notice that where is my car? You can see how it switches. Now it starts with the subject and ends in the verb, instead of starting with the verb and ending in the subject. Pause the video and analyze this, and you'll see that all of the questions that are being reported have to have a change in word order, except for the subject question, because there is no change in word order in the subject question, right? Okay. Um, rules again. And, right, remember you have to backshift in all of these types of questions. Just always correct the backshift. So just backshift, right? The verb. And now, some homework. Um, homework. You have to report all of the sentences, all of the statements, and all of the questions that are in this paragraph and send it to my email for extra points. I'll read you the email. I'll read you the paragraph, excuse me. Every month, I usually buy a new gun. This makes it harder for the police to track me. 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, my boss called me up because he wanted me for a new job. He asked me, Raul, are you ready to get them the way they got us? I told him, I'm always ready. That's something that everyone knows about me. I just need the target and location. After I got the information I needed, I did what I had to do. So, this paragraph, I would like you to report um, everything in it and send it in an email for extra points. It's optional, by the way, but if you do it and you report it well, you will get extra points. Okay, I hope to see you soon. Have a good day or night or whatever time it is, or morning, whatever.